Alright, so me and Madness have been doing some testing on Rome 2, and we noticed something very, very odd. We did a 1v1 test between Parthian Royal Cataphracts and our Verni Noble Horse, which are really representative of three cav units. The cav unit, the Noble Horses for the Iceni, the Noble Horses for the Suebi, and the Praetorian
Yeah,
Cavalry.
they have different names and I think also slightly different stats,
Slightly
but they're
different stats, but
pretty
they're
good
basically the
units,
same thing.
all of them. Yeah, the heroic riders and whatever the Suebi unit is called, they're pretty solid.
They all have about the same cost. They all have about the same stats. So I was noticing this, and we looked at the stats before we did any testing, and I'm going to read these stats out to you. A Royal Cataphract costs 1,020. Well, I'll just say Koku because that's what it was in Shogun 2. I don't know what the cost is. I'll say gold. I can do gold. 1,020 gold, 35 attack, 100 health, 70 morale, 40 damage, 63 charge, 18 defense, and 80 armor. So if we go over to a noble horse, and we will have these stats all out in the description as well, the cost is 950, which is 70 less. It's 40 attack, which is 5 more, 90 health, which is 10 less, 75 morale, which is 5 more, 45 damage, which is 5 more, 43 charge, which is 20 less, 88 defense, which is 70 more. 70 more melee defense than a cataphract. And then 65 armor. So, right off the bat,
Yeah,
there's an
15
issue
armor.
with these stats.
They have 15 armor less, just for the
What did I
record.
say?
Yeah, you didn't point out the difference, but
Okay.
it's in comparison to the defense, it's just no contest.
Yes,
Ridiculous.
there's a 70 difference between the melee defense of the noble horse and the cataphract. So yeah, we were testing it, and the first thing we're going to do is just do a straight up charge from each one, no abilities at all. So let's just click an attack order right now and do a test right now, see who wins. And the thing we noticed that even without using trample, which gives you a charge bonus, or the frenzied charge for the barbarian factions, is that the cataphracts will take a slight lead off the charge. So if you look right now, you're down to 74. I'm at 75. So I didn't even really win the charge.
Let's see, I'm at 67, 65, yeah. You're losing. You're losing. Basically off the charge, the cataphracts are losing. I mean, yeah, they have insanely good charge, but lacking so much defense, the bonus basically doesn't matter because they run into one another and then they start attacking.
So
as soon as you
64
have
men.
that, the defense makes up for the difference
Everything.
in charge. Yeah.
So-
So I'm at 63, you're at 45, and you know, at this point, basically the new mechanic in this game is going to start kicking in, which makes, like, it gives you some kind of multiplier or bonus as soon as you outnumber your opponent. So these cataphracts will now start dying much more quickly, even more quickly than they were before. And yeah, 62 men, 61. I have lost a quarter of my unit, even though we were, you know, the cataphracts, they classify as shock cavalry, and they're basically the best shock cav in the game. At least they should be, right?
Yes,
they're
they are
legendary,
the most
basically.
expensive cav unit.
Yeah.
Straight up.
They're more expensive, better charge, shock cav classification, and even when they get the charge, all stretched out to the maximum that I can, and that they can obviously, they still lose very, very clearly to this noble horse, which costs
So
less.
what we've noticed basically is that shock cav is underpowered in this game. Not only do Parthian Royal Cataphracts are they unable to withdraw like every other cav unit in this game. If you go into a cav fight or a melee fight,
Right.
you can't pull out.
You die
So
instantly.
basically, the mobility you lose like a of your men just pulling out of the fight.
Yeah.
So like you already are suffering mobility, and especially with a Royal Cataphract, which is slower than a noble horse as well. There are huge balance implications with that, because it means that one, mine costs more, it's worse off the charge, it's worse in melee, there's no reason to use Parthia, because the only reason you use Parthia is for the cav and for the ranged units, because their infantry is garbage. So
Right.
the faction becomes useless because their supposedly best cavalry faction is not the best cavalry faction. There are 3 or 4 factions in the game which have better cav. So we're going to test it again this time
Using special
with
abilities.
using special abilities. I will use Trample, which I'll read the description. Charges are more effective for an extended period of time.
and
And
all
Frenzy Charge does the same thing, correct?
increases the effectiveness of the unit's charge for an extended period.
I
Yeah,
am
and I
talking
lose
about-
I lose melee defense when it wears off. But yeah, let's get these abilities. Yeah, we're gonna have the same thing happening again. They ride into one another, and okay, some of my guys actually died.
Did you activate your ability?
Yeah, sure. I have the green symbol next to me. That's how you can tell. Okay, so we have 70 on my side, 60 on your side. Look at this, is ridiculous. I mean, I understand that some randomness can't be avoided, but I mean, this is actually even worse than the first time we tested this. Like, they're actually, the Cataphracts were
They're getting
winning
destroyed.
at first, and then it turned around because I have that insane defense value. But yeah, this is just as clear a victory for
So-
the noble horse.
Yeah, just looking at the factions, Parthians don't have better infantry. They have far worse infantry. Arverni and Iceni and Suebi and
Yeah.
obviously Rome all have much better infantry. They have better cav. They have it'd be-
65, yeah.
It'd be hard to argue that the skirmishers were better for the Gallic tribes, but really the skirmishers for Parthia aren't really anything special, though.
Right, they're not overpowered in any way. So what should be borderline OP would be the Cataphracts, in my opinion. I mean, yeah, heavily armored. Sure, they have a lot of health,
Really, really strong.
good armor, good charge, but they need more defense.
Yeah.
And
18 defense, there is no reason for that gap in between them. 70.
right,
You cannot tell me that there's a reason for that. Maybe it's because they don't have shields.
and
That's
yeah,
probably why, but it doesn't matter.
probably has
For
something to do
game
with
balance,
it. Yeah, but
For game balance,
Yeah,
you
there
need
is-
to give them more.
effectively, there isn't even a value that we can read out for what the shields actually do. I mean, it's pretty safe to assume probably that they protect you from attacks from the front and maybe the left side,
Yeah.
but we don't
So
really know what they
we
do.
can do one more test here just to make sure that it all makes
Yeah.
sense. But like
With or
there's
without abilities.
with abilities.
Okay.
I'll just activate it earlier this time, and it just I mean, just the game decision just doesn't make sense to me. And believe me, there will be other things we're testing out because I mean, a unit that costs this much needs to be better than this.
Wow, this time you actually got a good charge off. Oh.
It might have something to do with activating the charge bonus earlier.
Maybe, but yeah,
But it doesn't matter. Like I shouldn't have to even activate an
Right.
ability.
yeah, you're basically
have to
gonna
ruin-
ruin your unit by doing this. You're not gonna come out cost effective because now I'm gonna gain ground in extended melee.
Yeah.
There's no avoiding that. And like even if you end up winning, it's gonna be by a small margin. And yeah, okay, I do have
Even with that charge, even with that
Yellow
really
morale
good
now.
charge that I just got off, I don't know that I'm gonna win this.
yeah, you're at 53. I'm at 48. This is probably gonna turn around. We're both in yellow morale now. And sure, my debuff is gonna last longer than yours, probably, but
But that only has to do with the
48,
charge.
46. Okay, now I'm officially winning again. Like, even if you get a really beastly charge off and kill like 20 of my guys, right off the bat, you still lose. And I mean, you can't pull out. You can't. Maybe I don't actually know if you can push through if you have superior numbers. But with even numbers, I absolutely know you cannot pull back from this kind of engagement,
Yeah.
which is a way of dealing with the push-through problems and pull-through problems we had in Shogun 2. I understand that needed to be fixed, but
solution.
right, this is not how you do it. This ruins a lot of cav units. Those fixated on using charge multiple times. Yeah.
Cycle charging is now no longer possible, and like a bunch of my friends who used to be like huge cav users, that they've said to me like, now even if you get caught in a spear unit, you pretty much have to commit to that cav fight, and that's what I hate, is that you have to commit your cavalry to a fight. Once it's in the fight, it's not getting out. If you pull out,
it's stupid.
You won't be getting any kills, and you'll end up losing half the unit just right off. Like, I've literally seen it. I've literally seen you pull out because defense drops to 0, and all of your guys start dying.
Yeah, especially
it's just not worth it to pull out.
Especially with Noble Horse and their 88 defense. You're better off, even against spear units, you're much better off staying in melee. Like, I've seen that in the last battle we played. I got them stuck on a spear unit for some reason, and yeah, I could let them stay in. They did better than my infantry did, because they have such insane stats. And
so
yeah. But how do we do with it? Like, my solution would probably be to give Shock Cav a bonus versus Cav, which apparently they don't have. If they did, they would win against them. Not have them just rely on the charge, because having a unit rely on the charge in a game that disallows pulling back and cycle charging and having no other purpose for that unit is making that unit
be
pointless.
Shock Cav. It means you should bring melee Cav.
Yeah, it means you should bring melee Cav, and yeah.
So, CA, there are two things that need to be fixed here. One, Cataphracts and Shock Cav in general need to get a buff. I think cavalry in general needs to be better, at least with their mobility. They're slow right now.
Yeah.
Cavalry is very slow. You can't maneuver them. You can't pull out. And then, the second thing they need to fix is you should not lose half of your unit from pulling out when you aren't deep in a melee engagement. I understand if you're in the middle of a huge infantry fight and Cav's in the middle of it and you try to pull through a bunch of units, you should lose your unit. If you charge in the back of a unit and pull out from that, you shouldn't be losing any guys, because you're not stuck deep into a melee grind. So those are the two things that need to be fixed. I'm going to make a Total War forum post about it because it needs to be addressed. It's a big balance issue, I think.
Right.
So, hope you guys enjoyed it.
Right. Yeah, I just wanted to add, on top of that, this needs to be fixed by changing the mechanics. If you want to do it the perfect way, the right way, you need to have the ability to cycle charges with Shock Cav. That's what they're supposed to do. Rely on the charge, so they don't have to stay in melee. Apparently, even if you get a good charge off, they lose. I mean, you can adjust that through stats, but the essential problem would still remain. And, I mean, a bonus versus Cav for Shock Cav might be the easier way, which CA might be more likely to actually do. But as long as we can't pull out of a melee engagement, I think this is going to be an infantry spammy game. And I mean, missiles, we can talk about missiles later, but there are some issues with those too, I think.
Yeah, there are.
And, I think I said what I needed to say, so.
Alright, so see you guys later.
See ya.